All right, today we're going to figure out why sometimes you get bare spots on your canvas, especially around the edges where the color really doesn't like to actually stick to the canvas. And the reason is actually quite easy. It is oil on your canvas that is pushing the paint away. What happens is when you paint with a oil like silicone oil or hair serum or anything like that, when the oil touches the canvas first and then the paint goes over the oil pushes all that away. And the thinner the coat of paint on your canvas, the more likely that the oil is going to push all of the paint and let you see all the way down to the canvas. Now there's a couple of ways to avoid this, and I'm going to show you all of those ways on this one canvas. We're going to paint with these three colors. It's a really dark green, orange, and then a red that has a little bit of yellow in it to kind of make it an orangey. I've already pre-painted one of the corners. That's the easiest thing to do. If you're going to be using silicone, paint the outside edges first so that when and if that happens with the silicone, there's color underneath and you don't really notice it. That is definitely the easiest. The second one is when you pour your paint to put a little bit of your base color on the outside so the paint rolls over the base color over the side instead of the paint running over unpainted canvas. What happens with silicone oil is it always is going to rise to the top. So when I do a flip cup and I open it up, all of the paint, all of the silicone is going to start rising to the top. And what happens when I have a puddle of paint and silicone on top and I roll that paint? The silicone ultimately is going to get to the end of the roll and it's going to roll off first. It's going to hit the canvas first, which is bare, and then the paint's going to roll over it. And then that's going to push everything off. It's more likely to happen on the outside, especially on the corners where the paint's going to be very thin because it's just dropping off the canvas. So I'm going to show you in real time a couple of ways to fix that. And I apologize for my voice. I have been struggling with a chest cold. So we're just going to do a simple flip cup. I'm going to leave a little bit of this out for my example. I'll let that sit for a second. Go straight up here. Normally I don't torch till I've pushed some of this off the side, but I want that silicone to come to the top to really show you what's happening here. Base coat, or a little bit of a movement coat to kind of help that out. I'm just going to go off this way first. Come over here next. And come over here next. Notice how the darker paint is going first before it even gets to any paint that has silicone in it. So that's going to keep those lines from happening over on that side. And another thing is the thicker your paint is, the less likely you're going to get that to happen, just because the silicone doesn't have the power to push the paint off as well. So I normally make my paint a little bit thicker when I'm using silicone because I love to get these big cells like this, and it's harder to get big cells like this with thinner paint. Now we're just going to torch a little bit. I want a little bit more bubbles here, or cells here, these open areas. And I'm going to torch the sides just a tiny bit. Normally I don't torch the sides, but I want that silicone to come up there. And then we're just going to give it a few minutes to sit. All right, so it's been about 5 minutes, and this side right here is the side that I pre-painted. And this side right here is the side that I had my extra paint, my extra dark green paint on the side. So let's look first of all at the side that was pre-painted. You notice there's no bare canvas. Now right here, it kind of looks bare, but that's actually where I didn't paint very well, but that's dark. The dark canvas is showing through underneath. Same thing with this little spot right here, the dark canvas is showing under because I pre-painted it. And that is just going to mesh well when everything dries. And this side is the one where I had the extra paint show. And if you notice, even though this is a big spot where there was a bunch of silicone, I still have the darker color underneath. Now, right here, you can see that the darker color got there, tinted it a little bit, and then the silicone got to it, so it pushed the paint out. There probably wasn't as much. Well, I know there wasn't as much on this corner when I was finally tilting it off this way, so that's why that color's there. So now on this far side, let me turn the camera here. Look at all the bare canvas you can see. It's all over the place because I didn't pre-paint, and as the paint was pouring off, the silicone hit first. And now it's pushing all the paint away because the paint is so thin there that it has enough power to push all that paint off to the side. Same thing on this side. See how it's pushing all the paint off, and you can see and then you get to the end where I pre-painted, because I pre-painted about 1 inch in the end, and you don't get that same thing. So you want to have a little bit thicker paint when you're using silicone. You want to either pre-paint or use a base layer to prevent that from happening. The other thing that I will say is even the oils on your fingers on a canvas have enough oil to potentially do this to the corner of canvases. So if you're using silicone oil, I highly recommend that you use a base layer or pre-paint your edges. And if you want to learn how to get beautiful cells like this using silicone oil, this is the video for you.